Senator Rand Paul, as the ranking Republican on the Small Business Committee in the Senate, recently released some state-by-state data about how this is going to affect people. As I recall, 39% of the workers in Alabama are at risk of losing their jobs over the mandate. 39% was West Virginia, 37% in Alabama, 33% in Arizona. I believe Utah was 31%. This is a huge segment of each of these states' workforces that are at risk of getting fired over this. And it's got to be terribly difficult for each of those people, and it's also not wise for the country as a whole.
Yeah, and I want to pivot to supply chain issues, because we've been talking a lot about that here at Free the People. And by the way, this was horribly predictable in March of 2020 when they started telling people to stay home and they started shutting down businesses, perhaps naively thinking they could just flip the switch back on when it was convenient. And it turns out in a complex economy, you can't do that. But one of the reports, you're the ranking member of the Joint Economic Committee, and timely to this conversation, several months ago, you released a report about the structural barriers to work in this country. And there was a data point that shocked me. 1955, 97% of men were working. And I'm sure there's other qualifiers. And that has dropped pre-pandemic to 89%. And you list all of these regulatory and other government barriers that discourage work, but that was pre-pandemic. And if you add the vaccine mandate on top of that, you are talking about a fairly catastrophic labor shortage, which manifests in very specific ways, like truck drivers or people working in warehouses or a million other things that none of us know about. So that's one piece. The other piece is we're learning that the shipping distribution process itself is quite brittle because of other government failures. And you have been a leader on this. I've been waiting forever to have a relevant, timely conversation about the Jones Act. Here we are.
An issue near and dear to my heart. People sometimes ask, you're from a landlocked state. Why would you be obsessed over the Jones Act, something that deals with maritime shipping? Well, I'm part of the United States of America. Therefore, I'm impacted by the Jones Act. Every American is. Now, it's worse in some states than it is in others, but the Jones Act essentially says that if you want a shipping vessel to be able to go from one U.S. port to another U.S. port, you must do so in a shipping vessel that is built, owned, crewed, and flagged in the United States. Now, I gather that this made sense, or at least that Congress concluded that it made sense as a way for us to, fight World War I. And if what we were trying to do was prepare for World War I again, maybe that would be your thing. But, it's been a long time.
The Jones Act was like 1920, something like that,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. And I think it was a kind of a post hoc effort to say, what could we do to be more prepared to fight World War I than we were when we fought World War I. I don't actually think it made any sense then, but it certainly doesn't make any sense now.